Hello, namaste. You may have heard the saying that everything is happening for you, nothing is happening to you. And what this saying really means is that when we go through those difficult times and those difficult experiences in our life, that um, if we choose, they can be used for our own growth, our own evolution, um, to help us see things more clearly, to help us live more freely. And it doesn't always feel like that when you're in it. In fact, I think it rarely feels like that when you're in it. But today I want to share a very personal part of my own journey and how that piece of the journey really helped me to understand that saying so deeply. So about 2 years ago, my Boston Terrier, Rooney, who was my little soulmate. I believe we get a few, and if you've ever had a dog that your soul knows, he was that for me. And he was diagnosed with a very aggressive form of cancer. They gave him 6 to 8 weeks to live, and within 6 weeks of finding out, he passed away. And this was the first time that I had ever experienced true grief in my life, and was a really challenging period. The same time that he got diagnosed, a couple weeks later, our other Boston Terrier, Truffle, also got diagnosed with a different type of cancer, and she was given longer to live. But she actually only lived about 4 months longer than he did. So that was another big loss. Then a few months later, I was traveling, and I got a call from a loved one that their addiction had really hit rock bottom, to the point where they were potentially suicidal. And that was an experience that happened over a number of months. So there were many times that I feared, with relapses and things like that, that this loved one might not be alive anymore. And then in September of last year, in July, we found out that I was pregnant. A pregnancy I was very excited about. And in September, I had to have surgery for an ectopic pregnancy. And so, as you can imagine, that's a lot within a year. It was, needless to say, a really challenging, painful time in my life. But there's a lesson in it, right? There's always a lesson if we choose to see it that way. So I believe that when we come to this earth, we all have a few of our own things that we need to work out each time around. And this time around, for me, one of those huge things is control. Control has manifested in my life in so many ways, trying to control other people's behavior, trying to control what happens in my life and how it looks and how it plays out to a T, trying to control my calorie intake, my eating when I was anorexic, just as a means of feeling like I had control over something in this life. And what I learned from this experience was that I'm not in control. I think that intellectually we know that, um, or at least part of us knows it, but I think it's really hard to live that way and to live in a way where you let life live you. And I think that had one of those things happened, or maybe two of those things happened, um, I probably would have been able to just say that was a really terrible thing. You know, bad things happen sometimes. Um, but but on I go, you know. When three things happened and four things happened in less than a year, in a short period of time, you've probably heard the saying, being kicked while you're down. That's very much what it felt like. um, but I think that I needed that many things. Not that I'm ever wishing myself pain or challenging things, but I think I needed that many things for the universe to really get the point across. Like, don't you see this life isn't in your control? That might sound sad. It might sound hard. It might sound challenging. It is challenging, you know? It's not like we learn these things once and then, you know, they're gone and we don't ever have to think about them again. But what it's helped me to do is honestly to let life live me, right? I can make my plans. I can have my dreams. I can have my goals. I can work toward them. I do work toward them every day. But at the end of the day, life on life's terms, right? And how do I learn to adapt and to thrive even when life isn't going my way? You know, how do I pivot? And from that lesson, what's happened is a lot of personal freedom, right? I don't feel that it's all on me. If I can't control it, then why try? You know, it feels like some of the responsibility, some of the weight is taken off, which feels like a really beautiful gift to me. So, you know, when we go through these really challenging experiences, it doesn't mean not to feel your emotions. It doesn't mean not to grieve. It doesn't mean not to fully live out what that experience is. It just means that our suffering has purpose if we let it. You know, I once heard suffering for the sake of suffering is true suffering, you know. Suffering with purpose is something completely different. And so, yeah, I hope you can take with you, right, that saying, life is happening for me, it's not happening to me, and just always ask, what might the lesson be? You know, what could it be? And the answer isn't always apparent at the moment that we want it. You know, it wouldn't have been apparent after Rooney died or Truffle died, or, you know, I really had to look back. But what I did have while it was happening was the faith, the belief that that I could be resilient, and that there was some powerful lesson in it for me, even if I didn't understand what it was yet. Okay. I love you all. Namaste.